Do you think women in this industry really have compassion for lonely men, or are they just capitalizing off of men's sexual deprivation?
What kind of show is this?
Do you believe that sex is a need or a want?
I think sex is a need.
How would you respond to people who say you don't need sex to survive?
I would just assume they have a low sex drive.
I think it's like saying you don't need to be happy to survive. It's an emotion, and you need all your emotions to live a complete life.
It depends. I feel like it's definitely a want. You can live without it, and sometimes I feel like it's healthy to go without it for a certain period of time. But I feel like there's also people with sex addictions that really need to have that interaction all the time, whether it be emotional or not.
Is it more of a need or a want for men or women, and why?
That's hard to say because it goes by person. I wouldn't say that men are more sexual than women or that women are more sexual than men.
I feel like it's more of a need for men. Why? Because their sexual nature. Not for every single guy, but in a generalization, right?
How would women in this industry have opportunities if sex wasn't a need for men more than it is for women?
Well, we would probably have a way deeper expanded industry if women wanted sex as much as men did. I think we all crave sex equally. I think some people are maybe hornier than others, and I don't think that it's more of a need for men than it is women. I personally need to at least 6 times a day. However, again, men have been given everything they want always, so they're like, oh my god, boo, oh, I haven't had sex today. Wah. Grow up.
If women didn't know that sex was a need for men, why would so many women choose careers based on male lust?
I think they have other reasons other than doing it for the male gaze.
Because money, and men will give it to us really easily.
Why are women more willing to admit that sex is a need for men than men will admit that sex is a need for men?
I think they don't want to admit what we already know because they think it might have some negative connotations.
Pride.
What are they prideful about?
They're too prideful to understand or to at least accept and especially announce that they're actually craving. I think a lot of it boils down to intimacy as well. I think women receive intimacy from each other very consistently and men do not, and that's why they turn to sex, because they genuinely just want to be held. It's okay to need to be a little spoon every once in a while. You can say that.
According to a Psychology Today survey, 90% of OnlyFans subscribers are married men and not these lonely incels. What is going on here?
It's true. Most of my clientele are married and mostly happily married, but a lot of their partners don't want to explore their sexual fantasies with them, or they're just too shy to share that they have these fantasies, so they go to someone on the internet or in real life to explore them.
Why do religious conservatives condemn sex work but promote guys like Andrew Tate who got rich off the webcam business?
So, gosh, it's frustrating because what we had worked so hard for was to separate the government from religion, right? We're supposed to separate those two things. So I think because there's so much religious influence is why they keep trying to change the laws. But it's silly because they're doing some, nasty, shady, dirty shit behind closed doors, but they want to find somebody to blame. So of course for us who put ourselves out there, we're exposed all over the internet, they're going to blame us, even though, how did you find us? You went and saw it on the internet, So I'm a big believer if you don't like it, then just leave it alone. Like it's none of your business, and just let people live their lives the way they want to live their lives.
Is public shaming of sex workers good or bad for business? Isn't there no such thing as bad publicity?
I mean, I would say it's worked for a lot of people in their case. I prefer not to have bad publicity, but publicity is publicity.
What does that mean, it's worked for people in their case?
Lots of people have gone viral after doing questionable things.
Lily Phillips. My specialty is honestly at the minute gangbangs, bukakis, large numbers of people.
Lily Phillips here, and women like her, who make themselves cheap, are engaging in self-harm.
Lily Phillips.
Lily Phillips.
OnlyFans model Lily Phillips
She is undermining the authority of basic morality. And most importantly, what she is doing is disgusting.
The public shaming of it makes it this taboo thing that makes it kind of more sexual to subscribers. They're like, oh, this is such a bad thing. I'm doing a bad thing. So it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad for my business.
There is no such thing as bad publicity. And also, when you shame us, it just makes our community grow and feel way more together.
There is an obvious stigma around the adult industry. Does shaming have any influence over your choices, and if so, how?
Shaming makes me want to do more.
Honestly, I think it just makes me go harder to say F you to the haters.
So it does, but in a form of rebellion. I love to make people angry. I genuinely love that people disapprove of what I do, and that's partially why I do it.
Why do sex workers continue to go on these red pill podcasts to get dunked on? Do they benefit in any way?
Oh my goodness, this is literally where I got most of my fan base from. An angry man on a red pill podcast. The viewers pay so much money.
What do you think of guys who try to, quote, save you? And would you be willing to quit your job for the right man?
No, they can grow the fuck up. That is the most loser mentality ever. I'm making more money than all of them, and they're still like, oh my God, let me save you. But I'm also not going to do anything for you.
I don't need to be saved, but it's always an option to leave it all behind for the right one.
Do you believe in 50-50 relationships or traditional gender roles, and why?
I think that I believe in traditional gender roles. However, I don't mind doing my part.
Would it make sense to have roles if you're not traditional and you're probably out earning your man?
I don't think that me out earning a man should mean that he doesn't take care of me or take care of things. I don't think that should mean anything. I think it just means I'll have more to spend on myself.
First off, the fact that you're out earning your man, I have friends that do that. They're the breadwinners, and they resent the man, hands down. And then the man's not really respected by members of society, if you will, because he's still looked at as lazy. And I'm not saying that you can't do that, but I think a man should at least be equal, or if not more, in the money making. And if you're not, you got to get there, because there's nobody that should be pulling somebody along.
How would you characterize your relationship with your followers? Would you consider them more friends, acquaintances, or customers?
Well, some of them are my friends because I've grown to have a more fond relationship with the more respectful ones that have been consistent throughout my career. And then some of them are just customers. But some people just want to be customers. They just want to buy their content and leave. So I let my fans decide what relationship they want to have with me.
As somebody with a big following of fans, how would you define the difference between love and obsession?
It's kind of funny because one of my big fetishes is encouraging a love addiction, a very unhealthy obsession and addiction to me. It's tough. I have a lot of fans and clients that have a parasocial relationship with me, and I support that.
At what point would you consider your fans to be potential predators and stalkers?
Obviously breaking boundaries. If they send a message and I'm like, hey, I'm actually not okay with that, and they continue to do the same behavior, then that's predatory.
As long as they're not trying to get your address and they're not guilting you for not spending every waking moment with them, I think it's fine.
How would you define a simp?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like people want to say that's like a derogatory thing, but I actually really enjoy a simp. I think a simp is someone who just appreciates a person and shows them love and appreciation, and that's not a bad thing.
I love simps. I think it's a cute term. But a simp is generally just a man that is so obsessed with either one female or multiple female that practically do anything for her.
I guess by the traditional definition, but a simp to me is just a guy who appreciates a beautiful woman.
What is the difference between a guy who simps for you online versus a guy who simps for you in a relationship?
Probably nothing.
I would hope spoiling me as well. I hope they're not a broke simp. I love simps.
I wouldn't use the word simp in a relationship unless he was into it, but most guys online are simps.
People often meet their significant other through their work. Would you ever consider being in a relationship with any of your customers, and why?
I wouldn't consider it because I value keeping a business, like things separate. But I think if I met someone really special, it wouldn't matter how I met them.
What do you think of girls who advertise their OnlyFans on dating sites like Tinder? Is that unethical?
No, that's how I found sugar daddies back in the day.
Do you think women in this industry really have compassion for lonely men, or are they just capitalizing off of men's sexual deprivation?
What kind of show is this?
If your boyfriend bought OnlyFans content every week from the same creator, would that be cheating or masturbation?
To me, cheating.
If your boyfriend had an AI girlfriend, would that be cheating or masturbation?
If it's an emotional connection, it's cheating.
Why are we promoting AI girlfriends while shaming men for masturbation? Isn't that the same thing?
It is basically the same thing. I don't shame men for it, though. I think it's hot.
Which provides you more intimacy, an OnlyFans subscription with a real girl or sex with a robot?
Obviously, an OnlyFans connection with a real girl.
So why would society sooner promote sex dolls to lonely men rather than just legalize prostitution?
That's a good question. A question for the United States government. But, since we can't legalize prostitution, the sex doll is the next best thing to, having that companion.
Bots can't feel. Maybe they can be programmed to feel, but the actual conversation, because you can bond with somebody long distance, so you can't bond with a machine.
Are sex workers afraid of being replaced by AI?
No.
Why not?
Because you cannot replace a warm body and a actual human being with a mind that has some depth to it.
Should premature ejaculation be held against men?
Yes.
What is a mature ejaculation as opposed to a premature ejaculation?
If I don't come and you do, you're out. I'm never talking to you again.
Premature means that you can basically barely hold it in, generally less than a minute, whereas normal ejaculation can last, at least 3 minutes or more. 3 minutes being bare minimum.
Why is it a woman who solely places this determination on the man? Would a lesbian ever determine another lesbian a premature ejaculator?
It's possible. I've never heard of it, but I won't say it couldn't be a thing. I think it's mainly based on the man, just because it's the man that's really ejaculating, and the woman, I guess, is more having that theatrical orgasm.
A lesbian would consider another lesbian a premature ejaculator. If anything, it's like, oh my gosh, she came right away. That's amazing. So with men, I guess it's only because, in theory, he then can't continue the sex for a little while after he ejaculates. So she's a little disappointed that she didn't get to have some more dick. So she just got to wait 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever, and then round two.
Why do some men believe in semen retention while other men feel like you need to get the poison out?
You know what? I read a study that men who ejaculate, I think it was 5 times a week or some stupid shit like that, have less of a chance of testicular cancer. So go ahead, rub one out. Come.
Men who believe in chi believe that coming is releasing your chi and can be bad for you, whereas a woman coming is good for her chi. It's a cultural thing. I mean, it boils down to religion and cultural preferences and shame around sex.
Since sex work is filmed without condoms, if a woman gets pregnant during the shooting of a professional scene, is there anything the man can do to avoid being held responsible?
Well, I don't really know that side of it because I make sure that I don't get pregnant. But you just, I don't know, say in the paperwork if you get pregnant, then I'm not responsible because it's your job to have birth control. I don't know.
Why is it when it comes to sex work, women are responsible for not getting themselves pregnant, but when it's normal sex outside the industry, the man is typically blamed for knocking her up?
Well, again, the woman in this industry knows, and if you're with an agency, you have to use some form of birth control. And then if you get pregnant and you didn't follow the rules, that's on you. And then outside the industry, I don't think people are cautious enough, if you will, on whether they want to get pregnant or not. So that's on them. Again, there's always a risk in sex.
But we're pretty good. I mean, most of the scenes are pullouts, they're facials, so you're not getting cum inside. It's if you're gonna do a vaginal cream pie, where then you're putting yourself more at risk for that, unless you're on birth control.
Why is it necessary to address all the given liabilities in sex work as opposed to outside the industry where it goes unaddressed?
So the liabilities in the industry, I mean, that's our business. And if something happens, it can shut down that business forever. If you get a bad rap whatsoever, whether it's talent, production director, you're done in this business. I mean, word of mouth travels fast.
Maybe he comes inside her. Who gets stuck with the responsibility? The woman, especially because the way the laws have been kind of changing, where they're not allowing abortions. It's like that guy can literally probably go get 10 girls pregnant and have no responsibility because his physical body isn't having to carry that child. I think that they should have equal responsibility. I think that if they knew all of the things that we had to go through to bear children, then they probably would think twice about using condoms.
Which of the following do you think is worse? A woman's fear of getting pregnant or a man's fear of 18 years of child support?
Oh, shit. Oh, man, that's a good question. For me, it's the getting pregnant part, but for guys, it's like sometimes they don't even pay child support, and then there's back pay, and then when the child turns 18, right, and the court is still coming after them, they're like, well, oh, the child's not even a child anymore. Why should I pay child support? And it's like, dude, you owe 18 years of child support. But I think a lot of the times guys aren't really thinking about that because sometimes the women are scared to even go through the courts to get child support, you know? So maybe it's the women getting pregnant would probably be more of the fear, or at least that's for me. But I will tell you, if there's any guy that I get pregnant by, and if we don't stay together, he's definitely paying child support. I'll take your ass to court.
If it takes a business for women to be more accountable, why wouldn't prostitution be a safer option for men?
I don't think it is, because in the industry, both parties or whoever is in a shoot are tested, and they have to prove that they're tested before a shoot even happens. As prostitution, the prostitute might be tested, however, the man's not. There's no written record that where it states that a man that's going to sleep with a man or woman, that they have to be tested as well to sleep with them. So that's a huge risk.
You know what? Why is prostitution not legal yet? How about that? I know they decriminalized it in New York, but like, it's very interesting to me how in our country we're allowed to shoot porn on camera and have it exposed all over the internet forever to the entire world, but yet we're not like prostitution isn't legal for people to go ahead and do their own thing in their private space.
And therefore, wouldn't a business contract have more legitimacy than a marriage contract?
Yeah, 100%.
Why?
Well, the fact that a business contract, what you're going to do is you're going to hold true to that contract or else you're finished. In a marriage contract, if you'll look at it that way, you're not necessarily sticking with one person throughout your marriage. There's a lot of cheating going on in a marriage. So therefore, I feel that sometimes that fails.
Well, therefore, wouldn't a business contract have more legitimacy than a marriage contract?
Yeah? Whoa! Can I drop the mic on that question? Yeah! That's half and half. That's half and half. And I feel like, look!